War. So, and during that time, we also have produced heroes who were not necessarily heroes of the liberation struggle. And then at the end of the day, also, we produce other heroes. Like today, we are fighting COVID-19. So many people have distinguished themselves so well. And this is just another word. So those who are heroes, who have done so good or been in service of humanity, would have to be recognized as heroes as well. So this day is therefore dedicated to any other individual or Namibian who performs an act of bravery in one form or the other, whether it's a scientist, a doctor, a pilot, you name it. So we have so many heroes around. So that's basically the importance of the day. And that's what it means to me.
Thank you very much, General. I think you made a very important note there to indicate that this is not SWAPO's day, but that this is a day that all Namibians should join hands in celebrating and in honoring every act of valiance towards a better Namibia for us all. Now, General, I would like to ask you about what some of the aspirations for Namibia, for a post-independent Namibia were during the liberation struggle, during the armed liberation struggle and the liberation struggle alike. What was the vision of a post-independent Namibia that kept most of the soldiers, most of the fighters and heroes going until we attained our independence?
Yeah, don't forget, this country is called Land of the Brave, and there's a reason to it. Like I said, there have been war of resistance, not well coordinated. When the Germans came, they attacked first, they found the Namas in the south, hence the Red Boy and the Morengas were resisting alone. And then Red Boy sent a message to Chief Machamo Maharero, and the message, the symbolist message, let us die fighting, let us unite. And there have been messages sent all over. So I don't want to go into the history why the heroes have, for example, a red flag, white flag, and so forth. But that was actually they were fighting as separate entities. But at the end of the day, they had to unite. So basically, it's all that history. When people come to your place, they want to take your land. They want to dispossess you of the land. They want to take your cattle, for example, away. In the olden days, what do? You fight back. So the same way when the white settlers came here, first with the Germans, as we know, colonized by the Germans from 1884. So we had to resist. And that led to the genocide that we are talking about that happened between 1904 and 1908. Very unfortunate and sad history, part of our history. So all these things, in one way or the other, were driving us, were uniting us. So, so we wanted to take revenge, wanted to fight for our freedom, fight for our independence, throw off the yoke of colonialism and foreign occupation. And this is the things we've been talking about. So, and the same happened. When the Portuguese were invading from the north, the people in the north resisted. They went to Kwambi, Chief Ipumbu Achilongo put up the same resistance. And there are famous words said by these people. For example, Mandume said, when the colonial commissioner called him to report him to Chicago, he sent a message back to say, look, I'm not a blessed book of the veld. Whoever wants to come get me, must come and get me here. So those are famous words. Those are encouraging words. Death or life, I mean poverty or death, they are one and the same thing. So those were inspiring words. Ipumbu said, okay, yes, you can do this and that, but future generations will come and fix you. And that's now my generation that came, generation of Sem Nyoma, in fact, and then my generation together with the generation before us. We decided, okay, we can do things differently. Hence, the first SWAPO was formed. That was not the only national national kind of political party that was formed. One also had more or less same ideas. Was also formed in Coburg, where all people were united. But then, of course, over the years, that's it. That is history. SWAPO was formed and united all the people of Namibia, and then led the only political party that has led, or political movement that has led a liberation struggle on three fronts: military, political, and diplomatic, because it was necessary. Yeah, the others did this, that's fine, but maybe complementary. Yes, but that's what inspired us mostly, is to, like all other countries, and when other African countries like Ghana in 1957 attained independence. So, and we could not, that was inspiring, and all African countries, though they did not get the independence the same way we did, or Angola did, or Zimbabwe did. There are few countries that really participated, or even Kenya to some extent. So, yeah, those we're inspired by those people, and we're also inspired by the support we're getting worldwide. And for example, that led, for example, to the United Nations recognizing SWAPO as a sole and authentic representative of Namibian people. That's very important. We must mention these things and talk about these things. Why? United Nations, where all the countries in the world were represented, including some hostile to us, they still recognized, they decided that SWAPO was the only authentic, true authentic representative of the Namibian people. That was a big statement. So all those things were encouraging. Plus, the sacrifices made by our own people. And actually, our aim was just to attain independence. Attain independence, at the same time, to come and govern ourselves. We are not fighting for independence, ask anybody else to come and rule, to come and set up a government or an administration for us. We had to come fight and come set. That's why we had put things in place, even before independence, to say, the day we attain independence, we must have people ready to set up an effective administration. So, unfortunately, we did not have too many of them, but it was quite helpful.
Thank you very much, General. I think I would like for us to then dive into specifically how you experienced the liberation struggle at the time that you joined SWAPO and then planned later. I'm reliably informed that you joined SWAPO in 1971 and then later you joined the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, which is planned in 1974. So General, perhaps you could just share with us how the SWAPO party had reinvented or reinvigorated its efforts at the time to ensure that we really attain independence.
Yes. Rightly put. I joined the SWAPO in 1971, and I have proof of that. I still have my membership card signed by General Charles Namoro, was the branch secretary in the North, 1971. Officially, though I've been SWAPO before that, in a way, but officially I joined SWAPO in 1971. And when the Portuguese Empire collapsed in 1974, so we saw in a window of opportunity, and thousands and thousands of young men and men and women left Namibia to join the Armed Liberation struggle. So I joined. I was trained in 1974. Became a soldier, became a combatant of plan, and then since then up to 1989. So yes. It's been an exciting journey. When you look back, so of course we were young boys at that time, but we did not consider ourselves to be too young because we had the responsibilities and a job to do and a mission to accomplish, and we were so determined to do that. So it was very, very exciting. Yes, from there on, 1975, I completed my training. Then from then in 1975, I was transferred to what was then Northern Front to Angola. In the middle of the civil war in Angola, when the situation was so confusing, and there were thousands and thousands of young people also coming from Namibia joining us. We did not have the necessary logistical support, not enough weapons to equip them with. And we had really very good commanders and very good leaders at the primary level, General Dimo, Amambo. In fact, he's the only person from Plan who was buried at Heroes Acre. Then people like Comrade Mbunganga, Comrade Zulu Nandenga, Nakada, and then all those. May their souls rest in peace. So they directed us so well, and then, of course, I was tasked also to, after fighting so many battles on this and that, then I was given a responsibility, one of the detachment commanders. That was between 1976 and 1977. So I'm not here to talk about myself, so as such, but since you asked, I'm just going to give you that background. And then between 1980 and 1989, for the last 9 years after the war, I've been a plant chief of operations, which is a very, very interesting and difficult job. So normally chief of operations are supposed to be fired every 6 months, but I managed to stay on for 9 years, and I'm proud of that, to achieve that. So it was not very easy at all. That's just about me. And in the process, we come to know so many people. We all became brothers and sisters. It's not like now, unfortunately, because we had a common purpose, common goal, maybe the common enemy. There are things we wanted to achieve together, and that's where the sharpest weapon in our arsenal has always been unity. It's not the AK-47 or GP or these other weapons and other things. It has been always unity. You can be as much as well equipped, but without unity and unity of purpose, I promise you, you get nowhere. So that's my experience. And then discipline. So there must be discipline. There must be structures in place that you follow and work according to them. So, and these are some of the lessons we have learned. And of course, then things like morale falls into place. So, and that's why I've spoken after the war, we've spoken to many people who were on the opposite side. Generals from the South African not National Defense Force, but South African Defense Force, from UNITA in Angola, from SWAT-EF here, and others. Mainly, they will tell you and ask you the same question. That's the same question we've been answering all the time. What was driving you? What was driving you? So we had, now in the case of the South Africans, we had everything, with planes, with helicopters, with vehicles, we were well fed, we were well paid, and you guys had none of those. And you just kept on just coming, kept on coming. So, and the simplest answer is, we were fighting for freedom. Until there was no freedom, there's no way we were going to stop until we attain our independence. And that's why we kept on coming, because we had a goal. Our goal is independence, and there was no way we can stop short of that. And that's why we kept on telling us. It's not about what. So the same thing when you talk to them, if people say, ask the same questions. Who won the war? Who won the war? SWAPO won the war. It's simple. Because we were fighting for independence, we got independence. There were those who were denying us independence. They did not succeed. It's not about losing that battle there, losing that battle there, or we killed the 10 plan fighters, it's no loss on our side one day, or this or that. No, it's not about that. It was about the campaign. It's not about battles. It's not about what. Who won the war? That's an example. So, and Hence, coming back to this important day that we are commemorating, it's important to have a day like this, put aside especially to remember the sacrifices Namibian people have made over the years, over centuries, or since our country was occupied. So basically, it's a combination of factors and combination of things that has made us to fight and fight well like we did, resist as a nation now, and gain victory like we did.
Thank you very much, General. Now, Comrade Nkongo, some of the factors that the General spoke with in reference to, he spoke of unity of purpose and morale. And one of the methods that we use even presently in order to unify ourselves and to raise our morale, we do this through the form of songs. Now, Comrade Nkongo, could you just share with us which one is your favorite Delimani song and why?
Thank you very much. Maybe before that, it's just something that is coming out from the lectures we are having from our living library, is that heroes and heroines of this country are those that have contributed, be it to the liberational struggle of our country, but also those that have contributed, generally use the word, the act of bravery. It literally means that we must also celebrate our Frankie Fredericks, we must celebrate our Boma, we must celebrate our Masilingi. This should also be as heroes. So it doesn't mean that we are only celebrating those who have fought, but even those that have contributed. As today, sitting here, everybody is happy that the athlete has put our country flags up. So we must also celebrate. This is basically what we are celebrating. And I think General has also mentioned something very important that is to do with unity. And I think as a country, first I must speak as a country, that if we are all united, if the generals' generations and the Nuyoma generation had confronted the situation at their time, it literally means that also ourselves as the generations, we can also confront the challenges that are affecting us. Probably we are also in the making of making heroes to say, who is going to assist and make sure that we also defeat the unemployment in our country, for example. Because I think these are the discussions that we need to speak as we commemorate the day. We must also look at the situation that are confronting us and say, how are we going to get out of this? It's the land of the brave. So how, as young people, come together as a country to unite, to confront the situation that are affecting us. I think that's one thing that I'm picking up strongly from the general lecture, to say there is nothing impossible, but the only thing that we need is to unite. Sometimes we need to put our issues aside and confront issues head on. Then at the end of the day, we will emerge victorious. Now, coming to your questions, the favorite songs of Delimani, you know, I love the song Nuyoma Natangwe. This is literally translated to say, let's praise Nuyoma. General have said it already. Because of his bravery during his time, he have carried us throughout the liberation struggle. And then after liberation struggle, Nuyoma continued uniting us in the country and building the administration, as General has put it through that difficult moment, especially putting the country together after war, when everybody was also, this one belonged to here, this one, all of us were united. And that's the reason why I love to sing that song. And the song continue again, giving us moral to say, so we can continue doing this because of that bravery. So we can continue doing that, and then we can confront the situation that our country is facing, be it issue of unemployment, be it issue of housing, be it issue of, any other social ills that our society is facing. So that is the reason why I love that song. So in short, I just answered.
Very interesting answer. General, I
Just
am,
before you proceed with another question, I just wanted to quickly comment on this issue that came up here. There's in our history, there's historical events. These things were like in phases. The role that the youth plays at different stages of society are critical. Young people think differently. I was also a young person. We think differently because of the energy up to a point, and much because even when we succeeded to fight and win effectively, because of the energy, we're young, and all that. Only when you grow up later, you realize that now, at one point I made the mistakes, just because I was young and not necessarily because I'm, just like with others. I was at school, I was secondary school, there were some demonstrations that were not necessary at all. Because we were just young, we're not listening to the teachers. They say, okay, we'll improve on this, we'll improve. No, when? Until things just really break down, leading to even the shutting down of schools. And now, in 1966, after 1966, most of the internal leadership was rounded up. So until early 70s, then the young people organized themselves, and especially SWAPO Youth League. And I just want to mention this to the secretary, that your generation has a lot to do. And that's why SWAPO Youth League is called the transmission belt of SWAPO. It's a transmission belt of SWAPO ideology, programs, and so forth, that you know very well. I was also a member of the Central Committee of SWAPO Youth League at one point. So in fact, my generation was the last, up before independence. I was just turning 35 when I returned from exile. So it was time just for me, because of the age limit, to migrate from SWAPO Youth League to SWAPO, Mother SWAPO, if you like. So we also been there, like you, but in different circumstances. We had all the wings also replicated, even in plan, with the section for the women, with section for SWAPO Youth League, we had a section for Elders Council. We didn't have too many elders, unfortunately. Unfortunately, that time in the plan, I remember maybe 2 or 3 guys somewhere, but that's all. Yeah, I just wanted to add that bit. Now you can go on with your question.
Thank you very much, General, for adding that bit and just reminding us that as our generation, we have an obligation and we have a lot to do specifically for our country and then ultimately also for ourselves. But General, I am also persuaded at this point to ask you which your favorite Dilimani song is, and then for you to just share with us how many of these songs came about.
Very interesting. One thing I'll tell you is I'm not a singer. I don't remember myself singing at all. I just don't have that gift of a voice. Like a couple of guys, I still don't understand why. But that does not stop me from, I love music, I love songs. But for me, each specific song has a meaning, because songs normally are attached to certain events. You hear people sing about Kasinga, for example. So when I listen to that music, or singing about 26 August, we have so many songs dedicated to this day. So like tomorrow, I'll be listening to those who are relevant. Then there are, because it was a sad day, it was a sad event, Kasinga and so forth. But you come 21st of March, I'll listen to those songs, and celebrate the victory and just reflect on it. Yes, over the time, during the struggle, there were several songs. For example, Damonova, Poita, Tavaru. So that is the meaning. So there was a time when I would just, even if I cannot sing, it would reflect to that song because it tells me about fellow soldiers really in battle and I visualize things. So that's one of them. Then there are also some songs that talks about our foreign heroes. There are so many of them, like Ndirimani songs. We have Ndirimani songs that sings about same time Bad Boy, Semnioma, Marero, whoever, and all these things. Those Jacob Morenga and many others. So all of them. Shukururume, the chief was Kutako. You know, there are songs dedicated to those people at this big time, so they're quite inspiring. And then there are songs just for the youth. There are songs that are praised, for example, the sacrifice and the courage of our women combatants. We have also been with the women combatants. So, and there are quite a few of them who I would consider heroes, but women tend to live longer, perhaps. They don't die so often to see how they'll be treated. I'm still waiting to see that. So, but yeah. So, fortunately, if you go to Heroes Eka, you'll only find that. Yeah. I don't remember. Are there more than 3? Maybe no. Things like that. So, yeah. So about songs, yes. Songs. We used to call them battle cries. Yeah, I see. More motivating. We'd go to battle, we would sing songs. Namibia led, it's our country, we're ready to die for it. It's a clarion call, it's a battle cry. You see, and everybody sings, and from there you are just like, phew, you know, reverberated, re-energized, morale just goes up, even those who are trying to think differently. They just go along with what's name. So songs were very, very important. And we had, it's not about the Ndirimani cultural troupe. We had various artistic people in different formations, units, if you like them, depending on the mission. For example, Typhoon, they had their own songs. They would sing about their trips, the exploits in areas of Moshomeo Motari, Shomebo Binide, Merondo Rankure, and all those things they talk about. That's specifically to their own conditions and many others. So people in KwaZulu, they'll pass sometimes the Sabaring or due to Takaya and all things. You hear people singing about specifically the children, they would sing their own. Yeah, they would praise those combatants at the front, and they would always want to grow up as fast to join the Yamada liberation struggle and things, and all those things were encouraging. So it really depended where you were. So, but all in all, songs play a very, very critical role. I don't know what happened here in Namibia. I was trying to come up with a song, we remember, that we could sing besides the national anthem. The national anthem is not a song that you can dance to. So, but what is the song that, the moment you hear it, you're in a taxi or you're alone at home, all Namibians are listening to it and they are all dancing. It's unfortunate it did not see the light of the day. Maybe something that we still need to pursue. Because these are the things, once such small things are lacking, then again finding a cohesion, a glue, to get you together is a problem. So we need a song that unites us, that every Namibian, regardless of your home language, you could sing or relate to. So I don't care whether it's on all languages or it's in one language that we can speak or learn to speak, because you can learn a song in Damara and become a Namibian song. It's simple.
Definitely.
So, yes.
Now, General, I would just like for us to then discuss the impact, or rather the role that women and churches played during the armed and the liberation struggle in Namibia. As you have earlier mentioned, these battles were fought on different fronts, and so many people contributed to the attainment of independence. So if you could kindly just shed some light on how the women perhaps helped plan fighters and how the churches assisted and how everybody else really came on board to ensure that we attained independence.
Okay, let me put it short. If there were no women, there could be no plan because there would be no men at all. That's one. Two, the majority of us, when we started the struggle, but particularly when we were operating inside Namibia, and much of the war was fought in the north. That's the reality, not because of the geographical conditions, not to say that because you could not fight from any other, but Angola hosted us, so we could not fight from Botswana because Botswana did not allow us to have bases there, but they supported our struggle. I don't want to be misunderstood. So, but we're free to operate from Angola, and therefore much of the war was therefore confined to the northern parts. It was the women and girls in those households and homesteads that were supplying us with some of the basic necessities. It were nurses in hospitals that were smuggling medicine and treating us. You have heard, and that's what made late Minister Rosaria Ngidinwa a hero. She was a nurse who was treating wounded planned combatants. That made her a hero and was given a hero's funeral. So, and there are many others. The list goes on. So, plus our own combatants and so forth. So, then the other thing I want to mention here is regarding the role that women have, for example, played. The thing is, I don't want to go too much back into history because I need to confine it to, for example, this Heroes Day. When people established a base at Ongurugwambashe, that's first a group of pioneers led by Nakudu, and later joined by Riasera Kahumba, Kandora, and others. So up to more than 100 when the base was attacked. It was also women actually who were supplying them with food, cooking for them, and so forth. So the role that women have played cannot be underestimated or appreciated enough. So I think we need to look at back into that one. Just forgot the little bit of part of the question.
The second factor is the role that churches played.
The churches, yes. Yeah, the churches. I think what comes to mind quickly is Michael Scott. It's not in Namibia. Was the role he played. It was a pastor. Then Antumbangela, Theophilus Antumbangela. Then Leonard Tawara, and many others, plus the new generations. So under the umbrella, particularly of is it CNN or CNN? So yeah, under the umbrella of that organization. So the church played a great role in our society because they easily communicated people. So, and even when people started mobilizing at the beginning, and even during the war, you'd pass on, if you pass a message to the priest would, on the next Sunday service, he would find a way of communicating that message to the people. And the churches also are there they play a role in terms of molding the nation. Even when people are starting like demoralizing, so they would also go to church, come together, pray, sing together. By the time they return home, the 6 days between this Sunday and the other Sunday, they are re-regionized, morally, physically, and otherwise, spiritually, and so forth. So, and Zambia is a Christian nation. I'm made to believe so. And most of the people who have were Christians who have joined I think 99, maybe 99 or so percent were Christians. I don't remember. I haven't seen any other people from other faiths. I've seen atheists, non-believers. So the church has played a critical role during the liberation struggle, continues to play a critical role. It was supposed to do better and more, but there are constitutional issues. So we are a secular state. They allow them to operate independently. Hence the mushrooming of so many faiths. Some confusing nowadays, but I don't want to get into that. But all I'm saying is that as a society, we will probably be we are more confused now more than we were before, just because of people are changing their faces from time to time. And I know I have few friends who just you cannot even communicate to them easily because they see you as a demon. Strange enough, some comrades, people have fought with, the next day cannot talk to you because he thinks you are you're an infidel, or kind of. So it's unfortunate. I call that confusion. How can you not talk to me after so many years just because you have changed your faith into something I don't even know? Yeah. So.
Very interesting narrative, General. I think another question then that I'd like for you to please help us answer is, how did the SWAPO emblem as we know it today come about? Because many of us growing up have commonly referred to it as the Okamaneki, and we fondly go around even during election times. We are proudly Okamaneki, Viva SWAPO, but many of us do not really know and understand the region behind it. So could you perhaps shed some light on that?
Yes, before I answer, what is Oshela in English?
What is
Oshela.
I think it's a torch, flame, fire. Yes,
torch.
A torch.
Yeah. Our emblem initially has been a torch, and there was a discussion recently. I think at one of the last meetings. I don't know whether it's at the introspection meeting or it was at a policy conference. Those things were brought to there. I saw those things being brought. Somebody asked that same question: why this and why not this? What happened? So, and I don't think it was satisfactorily answered, but there was a plan to that. Let's look into that and see whether we can change this. This one, Maneki, was just for election purposes in 1989, because when they came here, they had similar flag like SWAPO, and then on this ballot paper, they had now that torch. So, okay, understandably, they were SWAPO D. So, now, then we had to come up with, and UDF had a Maneki, but not as strong as this one. Small Maneki, kind of, with a small fist raised. And still, I believe they still have it. So we had to come up with something for election, something that is easy to educate the electorates, and it worked for us very well. And since that time, we just kept it, because for the first 5 years or so, SWAPO D was still there around. They were registered with our torch. They stole it from us, or just walked away with it. I don't know what they were to use. So basically, this is which one we keep is to the secretary and others to recommend accordingly. That's why you exist as SWAPO Youth League. Yes.
Very important. Now, Comrade Nkongo, as secretary of the SWAPO Party Youth League, could you advise us as to how we can bridge the gap with the generations, especially in terms of understanding and valuing the importance of the Heroes Day?
Well, thank you very much once again for that very important question. First of all, I think as young people, we need to create platform where we can meet our elders or our senior comrades, to engage, to talk to each other, to understand each other. Remember very well, after our electoral college, I said I appreciated that we coexisted as a party. I was very happy to see young people, women, elders in the leadership of through our electoral process, which is electoral college. I think we need to desist from always thinking that, look, as young people, we are the only one to lead. But you need to coexist so that you learn from those who are there. And then in between there, you have young ones that are coming to learn. And then that's how I think the pipe should flow. I think that's one thing that we need to. One fear that I have is that the living libraries are going. And as young people, if we cannot tap from them, it will be too late when they are gone. That's one thing that I, as a youth league leaders, felt we need to focus more on, having a platform like this one. Maybe not only necessarily for Heroes Days, but we need also to tap from their wisdom. Because, when you are there, when you have traveled the road, you know all the dents. Then somebody who is just going there, he's never been there before. So I think it's very important that as young people and the elders, and I think the elders must be able to create that platform for us to engage from time to time within the party. When you speak now as a country, yes, as a country, let us sometimes have a platform to discuss issues. And I think taking it from General, when he mentioned the unity, I think unity should be a two-way, traffic, both from all of us as young people. And I think we don't need to create a platform where young people feel they must be at a certain corner and the elders, Although, yes, we agree to say at times young people need to be empowered and so forth. So, but that should be, Now, one thing that General has also mentioned is that as a youth league, for example, now, they have operated during their time, and their time was to liberate the country, as our heroes and heroines. Now, here we are, as a youth league, for example, today. One thing, and that's what comes out from many times that people don't recognize, that we are now a ruling party. You are now a secretary of a ruling party. And you will able to confront issues with your senior leadership, but also in a respectful manner, but getting what you want to achieve at the end of the day. And I think that's one thing that we sometimes do not foresee. So I cannot come and insult the general, but I would rather lock ourselves in a room maybe and deal with confront issues that are before us. And then at the end of the day, we come out there agreeing to what we want to do at the end of the day. But, it was very, very easy during the general time to say, well, today we are going to demonstrate. We want this. But nowadays, you also have now to attune yourself to say, okay, if there's a situation, let me immediately call the leadership of my party and then we discuss issues. And I think this is what we need to do. And the Youth League and the party say it's the only organization in this country that is structured until to the section. Others, yes, they can think they are doing it, but we are the only party that goes until to the village. So in fact, if we can also go back to utilize our structure that we have in the party, then we can able then to deal with many issues that we can able to solve. In fact, we can able to sit with our elders at the section levels and tap from their wisdom and so forth. So I think for us to bridge that gap, we really need each other, all of us, to come together and harness each other to see how do we then move from here. I think that's how I take it up from there.
Thank you very much. General, in your final words, could you please share a message with fellow Namibians, specifically young people, ahead of the commemorations of Heroes Day that will be taking place tomorrow?
Yeah, thank you. I would like just to say the following. Quickly reflecting on what, referring to what the Secretary said, what Secretary Ngongo just said. As much as we are proud of what we have achieved, my generation, speaking about my generation from the liberation era, it's time, I think, for all of us to equally understand that we've done what we've done, but it's time to pass on the torch to the generation after us, or even 2 generations after us. So young people, it's very important to understand them. They have genuine concerns, they have good ideas, and if we don't listen to them, then we're going to get into trouble, all of us. So we are just in this one boat together. We cannot afford to rock it. So that's very important, that there must be communication between young and the older generations, including the middle generations. It's that transformation, if you don't manage transformation carefully, the same way you don't manage succession. Succession, I'm not talking about presidents only. It's at all levels. If you don't manage your successions properly, at all levels, branch, district, and other levels, so then that will create serious problems. Problems of disunity, disloyalty, indiscipline, and it's a nation without discipline. I think we'll go nowhere. I think that communication is very, very important to reestablish, so that we try to understand each other. The same thing in the case of SWAPO Party now. The other thing that we need to really seriously look into is the issue of veterans of liberation struggle. I'm not talking about only planned combatants, all those veterans, even those who are recognized. We have them on record, that this is a veteran, and why they are veterans. So you cannot allow those people just to lie idle in the villages and all the rest of it. We must encourage them. Those who are old enough, if they are young people, if there's veterans who are young enough, why not join SWAPO Youth League? Not the secretary, not to take over the leadership, or SWAPO Elders Council. They must be accommodated in those structures, and those structures are countrywide. So in the branch or district level in one way or the other. So I'm talking about those things, and I want to be understood very well. It's not that we want to get into leadership positions, or want to take over the party, or want to take over the country. But most of the people I know can make huge contribution. Maybe small platforms like this, where people discuss things at the regional level and things. People know the problems. They know where we're going wrong, what things we're doing right, and what we're supposed to do better. Yet, there's no platform to communicate those things. So it's very important. And I think I urge these particular young people with your energy to look into those things seriously. Don't only concentrate on the SWAPO Youth League. Concentrate on SWAPO as a whole, and redefine your roles. also. It's very important. So during the struggle, we know exactly what the role of SWAPO Youth League was. We knew exactly what the role of the SWAPO Women Council was. You knew exactly what the role of even the trade unions. We've lost all of them. We don't have a trade unionists anymore, affiliated to SWAPO effectively. So we need to think about that. We still have so many workers in this country. We need to bring them back to the fore and work together. I hear people saying, okay, SWAPO is finished, SWAPO is not, no, not yet. That's the message. So we still have a long way to go. Make no mistake, we can reorganize ourselves very quickly. But we just need to change a few things. I'm not going to tell people what we want to do, what we are going to do, but they must rest assured that we have plans in place. Yeah, we'll surprise them. So this thing I'm saying is the same thing that I hear people saying, I know, independence of Namibia was handed over on a silver platter. What a shame. Silver platter. After so many years. Whose silver platter and to whom? From whom to whom? They did not see, were they not there that night of the 21st of March when Botha came? He took his flag with. Huh? Why did he leave it here? What platter? This was, the ceremony took place at Independence Stadium. It was not on a platter. I think these are the kind of things really, and if we continue, this will betray the sacrifices of the people. They'll be turning in their graves. Yeah. Those who we know them. During the war between 1966 and 1989, we lost close to 16,000 men and women who have died during the liberation struggle in one way or the other. Whether it's a car accident or it's in battle or it's because of a snake bite or it's a girl while giving birth or whatever, bitten by a scorpion. Or we also have people who died in plane crashes and all these things, you name it. But all total, 16,000 people. We had 42,000 repatriated back to Namibia, including about 80,000 struggle kids, children of the struggle, people who were born in exile, who were not returnees like us. I went and became back and was called a returnee. So they were not returnees. These are children that were born during the struggle. So, and if you look at that figure, so out of that number, there were, by 1989, amongst those were more than 15,000 planned combatants who were underarmed. I'm not saying that who was trained or was not training, those who were at the front. So I don't know how many there are now today, still alive, but the number probably is probably half of that in terms of what's happening. We're not wrong too many. And that, therefore, a day like this is important to remember, to commemorate the sacrifices made by our people. It's not just going to Shebenes or having braais and all the rest. That also. You can't have a braai on the 26th of August or 4th of Kasinga. You can do whatever you want on the 21st of March. It's a day of joy. It's just a matter of reflecting on our own private lives. And what difference can we make going forward in our communities, in our homes? You see? And what is that we need to communicate to our friends and comrades and others? You know? So, as a nation, you don't just find somebody there. And you must also be generous to others and so forth, particularly during times of COVID-19. And we have this conspiracy theory about this or this is not going to work. It's unfortunate. Before we know, other nations are like you've seen, they're playing soccer, they're going to clubs, and they're going to other places while we're stuck here in our own, I don't know what it is. These things require education. It's part of the unity that we're talking about. And the people who are saying this, probably you don't know what their agenda is. I know individuals, I'll not mention them here, who are anti-government, anti-SWAPO government, and therefore all the time they're just, everything SWAPO is doing or government is doing, whether it's through vaccination, trying to bring back the health of the people, it's just always wrong. There's no, this is not done, it's not the way it's done, not the way it's done. Yes, it's true, but maybe it's true, but as a nation we we need to move on. Yes, I really appreciate and thank you for the opportunity you've accorded me. I wish we could talk more about this, but since the topic was confined to the commemoration of 26 August, I cannot talk about the whole struggle. I cannot talk about the whole struggle on what happened. But the important thing is that this day is put aside for us as a nation to remember our heroes. Even after 100 years, this day is going to stay here. We all die before it. Just like Namibia will be here. So I don't know if anybody, any unsensible person will come along one day and say, no, we don't need this day. I don't know what he's going to tell the people.
Thank you very much, General. Comrade Nkongo, do you perhaps have any brief final remarks before we close off this afternoon?
Well, I think my message to my fellow young people and all Namibians, let's go out there tomorrow. Let's take time off to honor and commemorate our heroes and heroines. As General has put it, we don't need to go and bribe, but to sit around, maybe sing the songs that hold us together, and remember those heroes and heroines of our country. And remember, heroes and heroines are not only those that were at the battlefield, but we have many heroes that we can celebrate. Like right now,